What's up, guys?
Hey, how are you?
Hello, Jason. Hi, everybody.
What's up? So thanks for
Eh,
coming on today for the Q&A. And you guys both were smart enough to get in your cars for
How
this.
unoriginal of us, huh? You know,
I know, terrible. So
Yeah.
for everybody that ends up watching, or if anybody that comes in live, um, we've got Peter Verica. He's on our roster. You can rent his car up in New York, Connecticut, Vermont, any of those areas up there. And Edwin Pineda. Edwin's out in Southern California. So Los Angeles and pretty much everything south of there. He definitely does a lot of rentals out there. So thanks, guys, for coming on. Kind of the first thing we're having on the YouTube channel for a Q&A. As you both know, we get a lot of questions when it comes to rentals, or even about the cars for that matter. So that's kind of the whole point behind this. So I know you guys have a lot of experience with your cars and building the cars and anything that might come up. So I figure we'll just jump right in. You guys will laugh at this first question, but it's an honest question that I get probably, I don't know, a lot. And Peter and Edwin, I know you do too. Can I drive the car?
ooh, I don't even want to drive the car.
I
You want to
know,
answer
right?
first? Peter, you want to answer first?
Sure. Uh, no one is allowed to drive the car. I don't think anyone's insurance would allow that, and it's it's really difficult to drive. I don't know about you, Edwin, but I mean, my TFC's in the way. It's hard to shift, and my car runs terrible. Uh, I've been maintaining it the last 5 years, and it still runs terrible. Uh,
Well, I'm sorry to cut you off. Well, when it comes to that, I really have to thank Kristen Miles for it. He actually adjusted my RPMs and everything. Since then, my car it really runs very smoothly. But you know the whole story on this. Mechanically, I did work almost for a year. I couldn't drive my car, so now it's very reliable. I can go long distances. My temperature, the gauge, it doesn't even go more than a quarter. It stays there all the time. But back to the question, probably I'm too. I'm a very good person, and I want to give the experience to the people. I have led probably like two, three people drive the car. Not a long distance, just for them to have the experience, like in a parking lot. And believe me, they love it. They go crazy for it. But like Peter says, for insurance purposes, we don't really allow it. We can ride them somewhere, but no, we can't.
Yeah. So unfortunately, I mean, again, that's some people, don't either read the website or just assume they see the social media pictures and like, oh man, that's awesome. I can rent the car and just cruise around it. And unfortunately, right, insurance doesn't cover it. And there's only but so many DeLoreans on the road and much less time machines. I mean, there's no specific number. Peter or Edwin, I don't know how many you guys think are on the road. Somewhere probably 150 maybe.
Well, well, according to Kevin Pike, there's 190, and
I wouldn't be surprised.
yeah, but I'm not sure. I don't know. There's a census or there's a list of how many
Yeah,
time machines. Well,
there's
uh,
not, but
re-
I
re-
think
uh,
they definitely.
I
I feel like
I kind of consider myself the junior on all of this stuff. Peter is the master. He knows, not me.
I will say the only time I really let someone drive the car is maybe at a wedding, as the
yeah,
getaway car for photos.
yep,
That's really the only exception, and that's right down the road. And
yep.
the first question I ask is if they've ever driven the stick shift, because that's uh, I've done weddings where they don't, and I'm like, oh, well, never mind. Like, uh, but yeah, weddings pretty much the only thing. I've had
Yeah.
events where I show up and people think they're allowed to drive the car, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah, I agree. So if anybody's looking to rent a car to drive, we don't do that. But again, there's select events that we will. Maybe some corporate events where the owner needs to drive up in the car, or again, video shoots maybe, but or weddings. But that's generally about it. Here's another one we get a lot. Were any of the cars for rent used in the movie? So
No.
no, none of them were. There were only 6 DeLoreans used in all of the movies and one fiberglass car. I know, Peter, you've visited a few of them. Bill and Patrick Shea, who owned 2 of the screen used cars, the one that was hit by the train and put back together.
No,
And
those are
then,
awesome guys, and they're good friends. And not in the movies, but they helped me out and got me into that the expedition Back to the Future on Discovery. So my car was used in that, which is at the end of the show that they give to Michael J. Fox. Spoiler: that's my car. They didn't give it to Michael J. Fox. That was the one that Kim built. But so it's kind of screen used.
Yeah, and again, if anybody's ever interested in actually seeing one of the screen used cars, my first place what I would tell you is go to the Peterson Auto Museum in Los Angeles. They really did a good job restoring the car. It's beautiful. You can see it, take pictures, videos. And you can really shouldn't be touching it, but it's that close to you that you can touch it. So it's pretty cool. So no, none of the cars for rent were used in the movie, although several of the cars that for rent, Peter, yours was certainly in the Discovery Back to the Future. Martin Sanchez's was in that as well. So yeah. Here's a fun one that both of you, we can get in depth on this or we can't. It's up to you guys how much you want to divulge, but how expensive is it to build one?
Ooh.
Very expensive.
Yes.
Very expensive.
Edwin, do you remember how much it was exactly?
Well, including the car. Remember, I bought the car for $32,000. Total investment, I will say, including the car, on my side, it was about $70,000. But remember,
we bought before the price hike.
But the way I did mine, I have to thank a lot of people because I did my really under budget, and I got a lot of help from Peter. I really, he's my mentor. I told Peter every time he's the master, and from day one, Peter has been there, and I really thank you for that. There's no day that I'll say thank you, Peter, and you know that.
Edwin sends me gifts. What would you send me? A big sheet of my daughter. That was awesome.
Yeah, but and the other thing, I have more. I'm really able to get a lot of scrap parts, real aircraft parts, because I work for the airline industry, and that was one thing that on the last event that we have on November 12th, I was very intimidated because I was ready to meet Kevin Pike, and I actually hear this rumor that he really goes into details and he will give you a whole list of everything that you have done wrong. And I was ready. I was ready for that. Even he told me, you know what, are you ready to get your heart broken? And I go like, yeah, sure. So we walk around and Kevin, he started touching everything. He asked me, is this real? And I said, yeah, it is. So we went through and he didn't tell me anything that it was wrong. And the contrary, he told me everything that he likes from the car. And I was very surprised. I mean, I will say what it makes me so proud of what I have accomplished is when Kevin told me that I will get a plaque with his name, his signature on the car. And that kind of cut it on his list because I believe he has only 11 cars on his list. I don't know if that will actually certify my car as one of the cars that he likes, but then the next day I got this big message telling me that how much he loves the car and he wants to come over. He wants to document the whole thing. But for the money that I use in what I have accomplished with the car, I'm proud of it. But it takes a lot of passion.
Yep.
It will leave you a big hole on your pocket. It really does.
Yeah. So anybody asking,
but the support the support that you get from your family and from the whole community, I mean, Time Machine Builders community, we become a big family. It's like when I meet somebody in the group, it's like I know that person for a long time. It's like chatting. And last time I met Mike, he has a time machine and also an Ecto one. But when he came over to my work and I met him. It was the first time I met him. But I mean, like we hug and everything. It's like you get to meet the people. It's like when I met you, Jason. I mean, like it's like I know you, even though we do business and everything. But we become a big family.
Agreed. Yeah, and like I said, Peter's been. I've been talking with Peter for quite a long time, and I would agree. There are certainly people out there other than Peter that build time machines, for other people. But when it comes to knowledge and parts, Peter's up there with anybody else. And just for anybody watching, these parts aren't easy to come by. The parts that they actually used for the time machine in the movie, these are old aerospace parts that are just nowadays if you can find them, they're very expensive. That's why, in the time machine builders group, a lot of people are doing group buys where we can have things manufactured nowadays to look and act just as it did in the movie, but at what, a fourth of the cost or a third of the cost to save people money. So I don't know, Peter, if you want to discuss how much you paid. Again, these cars are very expensive. Outside paying for a DeLorean, which they've gone up. So for $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 nowadays for a running DeLorean on top of parts.
Well, I bought mine 5 years ago before the price hike, and it was $25,000, which at the time I thought was way too much. I mean, now that car would be 50, but the conversion it cost about 30,000, and that's still about true depending on how detailed you want to do it. Are you okay with some castings, or do you want all original? I mean, it takes a good 300 hours to make the car, and the conversion will cost you at least, nowadays, 70 grand plus the car itself. So you'll be at around 120.
A lot of sleepless nights.
A lot of sleepless nights. So here's a question asking if there's any kind of build sheet out there. My answer to that is yes and no. Half of the fun, I think, is researching it on your own, right? Finding out what the parts are, and kind of, I would say start there. And then there are groups out there on Facebook and other places, the DeLorean Time Machine builders groups, that people help one another source parts, help you build your car if need be. There's a lot of toolage there, and there's a lot of documentation there as well, such as CAD files and things of that nature, right?
Yeah, all you have to do is search. I mean, that group has been around for going on 4 or 5 years now, and a lot of the same questions get asked, and a lot of people ask if there are, like some big sheet or guide as to what to buy. It'd be impossible. There's thousands of parts, and some are readily available, and some become not readily available. So it's the whole sharing things. I mean, when you find certain rare parts, it's hard to post them in the group because everyone buys them up, even people that don't even own a DeLorean right now. So you got to do your own research. You gotta pay your dues.
That's a good way to put it. Let's see what else we got here. Where did you get the idea to rent out DeLoreans? So
this made me broke building the car. I need to make some money back.
Yeah, you got to make money, right?
That's the only way you can fix that big hole on the pocket.
That's the reason we all do it.
Not wrong. I personally, how I started DeLorean Rental was I start initially. I mean, I knew of a few people renting their cars personally, which was good. I'm like, that's what I'm going to do with mine. And then I ended up starting Back to the Future HQ on Instagram, and it blew up. As you guys know, I've got, 180 some thousand followers, and then I had people asking, where can I rent one here and there? And I thought, well, that'd be good to have a kind of a one-stop shop if I can, because I was starting to get to know other owners and all of that. So at the end of the day, I bought DeLoreanRental.com, built it, and just started adding cars. And now I think I've got over 60 DeLoreans, most of which are time machines, but I still have stock DeLoreans too. So that's just a brief rundown of how I got into that. You guys will like this one. What type of engine is in it?
The original PRV-POS.
Yeah. The engines in DeLoreans are notorious for having problems. Listen, these cars are like 40 years old. For anybody wanting to buy a DeLorean, what would you guys' answer be? Don't.
No, just know you're going to spend more maintenance, than ever enjoying it. I mean, I have a new issue with my car. My, I just did all my clutch stuff, the clutch line, the master and slave cylinder, and now I'm getting a super loud whirling sound, and it's the throwout bearing. So that's a huge project, and it's never ending. I've done my alternator 3 times, my fuel pump twice. The cars kill themselves, and maybe that's just my car, but I've had endless bad luck.
Well, we get to know every inch of the car when it comes to the engine. We visit the Valley of the Dead for so many times. I have, and
Hmm.
believe me, I'm not a mechanic. My dad was a good mechanic. He always tell me to help him, but I actually never got into that. It's very ironic. I'm actually a commercial artist, and I don't work as a commercial artist, but it's probably the way we are, and probably Peter can share this with me. It's like putting so much into detail, trying to be so perfectionist, and sometimes not really want to wait for somebody to do something for you, and you want to learn how to do it yourself. Watching tutorials, watching YouTube videos on how to fix stuff. That's what it has made me to make this car very reliable. I mean, I have worked on everything on the car, fuel pump. I did all the hoses, the air hoses, the whole intake. I did my brakes, my rotors. I mean, the whole. I mean, you don't have no idea. Then everything I have done, but you get to know the car. Mhm.
So I think along with that is, did you make any props yourself? Now, again, some people do. Some people, again, we mentioned group buys, or if you can find original parts, right? But there's just certain things that have to be made. Flux capacitor. I mean, the list goes on and on. That things that need to be manufactured. But Peter, I know you definitely build some parts yourself for replica time machines.
Yeah, it gets overwhelming because you know, they take a lot of work. I mean, there's little things, little unimportant things you don't even notice in the car. Like there's a gold box right here called a Claire box, and I just posted on the group that I'm going to be making an extra one, and I had 20 people send me messages telling me they wanted to buy one because no one's making them right now, and it's overwhelming. Everything takes a long time to make to perfect because we're trying to recreate um, even all the imperfections of these things.
Yeah.
But I mean, you kind of, especially, I'm building my fourth car right now. Uh, I have to build nearly everything.
And Edwin, I
But
know you probably built more than a few parts yourself, right?
I did, and I actually kind of mimic and mirror everything that Peter did. So every time Peter did something, and
You
that's why
copy
he
a
always
copy.
tell me, oh, that's what Peter always says, oh, you did it better than me. But no, probably I copy everything that he did. And like what he says, I tried to make it better, probably, but no. But every time machine is unique. Every
Yeah.
time machine it has your own signature. Hey, look at the colors. It's
Very
not a
true.
perfect, it's not an accurate time machine, but look, it's a time machine. It's their time machine. This is my time machine. This is the way I make it. I know every single component that I put on the time machine. I know how long it took me to do it. And then yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I have done myself, a lot of components that I have done myself. Some stuff I actually have to get like Gary downstairs, he did my flux capacitor, all the electronics. I actually have the diamond select. I kind of tricked it, and I mean, I
Boom.
have
You can
never
do better,
have anybody telling me that it's not accurate, but
except for
it's
me.
my time machine. Yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead,
Step it up,
Peter.
Edwin.
Yeah, what happened?
Step it up, Edwin. It's not good enough for me.
He's
Yeah,
giving
yeah,
you a
yeah,
hard time.
yeah. But I did my upper console. I mean, the whole thing having to weld every single wire, and I did it. I did it the old school way. I mean, I did it the hard way. Every single LED light is in a separate wire, but I
Hmm.
can control everything. I can actually do. I can make it blink, which it is supposed to blink on the original movie. But I
Yep.
can make it flash. I can do everything. I did my plutonium chamber, the gauges. It's not. It doesn't really sync with my speedometer. That's the worst part that I have because with Peter you remember we actually bought the speedometer separate from everything else from Lauren and Gary. Yeah, so I having that little issue that I need to make it sync, but it does what it's supposed to do as soon as you turn the switch. It actually hesitates the needles. It stops the needles where I want them to stop. I can adjust it to wherever I want them to stop, and it makes all the sounds. It makes the empty sounds and everything. And everything it does, I can do it on the TF control.
Yep.
My whole switch from the battery cleaner handle. It can turn on everything on, but I have separate buttons for everything else, and that's the way I designed it. And it took me many hours to kind of, I burned a lot of brain cells to do this, but I actually did. And right now, and Peter can also talk about it because now it's a little easier. People is actually building Arduino modules to control a lot of the stuff. So
Yeah.
it has become a little easier now. But if you
Every car
when
is
you
different.
yeah,
You
go
know,
ahead.
everybody thinks that these are all the same. Well, by and large, to people who don't build time machines or really know every part, if you
Mhm.
just went somewhere, people would think, "Oh no, that's the movie car." Or, "Oh, it's perfect." It's everybody's car is different. It just depends on did they build their parts. Did they wire it the same? No one car is the same. So I think
And
that's a common misconception people might have is, oh, every single car is the exact same. They're not. And again, not to nitpick, we all nitpick amongst ourselves in the community because we, by and large, want them to be as close to perfect, even though there's no such thing as that. But
yeah.
so I find that interesting. Here's a good one that we also get a lot, and there's no one answer to either. Is how much is an average rental? Every event's different. So, a wedding, birthday, everything is different, and we do have to quote them separately. But I think on average, I think most people would agree in between 300 to 400 an hour would probably be a good starting point plus mileage.
Mhm.
That mileage can be
Correct.
anywhere from $2.50 to $4 per mile for us to get the car from its original location round trip to the event and back. So I think that's a good ballpark. I think you guys would agree on that. Gas has gone up, prices go up. A couple years ago, you could probably rent one for 200 to 250 an hour, but now, again, there's only but so many of these cars. So, um, here's a good one for you guys. I know you guys will enjoy this one. Any crazy or memorable rental stories? I know you both probably have some. So, Peter, we can start with you.
I have two
All right.
negative ones. I'll let Edwin's got to come
No,
back with a
no,
positive one.
no. Go ahead and talk about yours because I'm trying to think about one. Really, I don't. I'm not sure if
They
I
don't.
have
It
any.
doesn't have to be negative. It can be a positive one, Edwin. This isn't. Trust me. We'll do more Q&As with more stories. But yeah, no, it can be a fun one. It doesn't matter. It can be
Okay.
anything because there
Well,
there are
I, I
downsides to.
I do have one, and I kind of regret it because I wasn't taking the guy seriously, but it was done on a Justin Bieber gig, and it
Yeah, I
was
remember
one of
that.
his guests. It was one of his guests, and I go. He was as soon as he get off from his limousine, he started looking at the car, and he come to me. He says, "Is it for sale?" And I go like, "No." And he was like, "I give you 200." And I look at him. He was like, he turn around. He look at me. He goes like 1,000. And I go like, but it's not for sale. And I say it's not for sale because he offered me $200,000, and I say it's not for sale. And then he says how much the last one. I mean, how much a replica sold for, and I think at that moment that's when the last replica sold for 250. I think I don't remember
Yeah.
Peter about that. Okay, so the guy turned around. He goes, so would you take 250? And then he goes, you know what? Give me your business cards. I get in touch with you. It seems like you don't want to sell it, but at that moment, to me, my time machine is priceless. It's my time machine.
Yeah.
But if I will have to sell it, no, it won't be really for the money. It's because probably if I will really need the money, I might
Yeah.
sell it.
That's a good story, though. Being offered that much money and turning it down.
Yeah,
That's
but it did 200
it's a passion
$250,000.
project.
I couldn't make another one.
See, you can make another one. Peter, what about you?
Well, I just had two kind of stories that actually goes along with the whole rental thing, kind of a guidance for anyone thinking about rental. So one negative experience was I did it was in a richer area of Connecticut. It was like an 80s party. They said it was an adult 80s party, and I brought the car there, and we had the car out on display for like 6 hours. And what ended up being was we were in front of the house, and everyone was partying behind the house in their backyard, and it ended up just being me watching about 10 5-year-old kids destroy my car. And you know, you can guide them, you can try to help them, but I mean, kids, you know, again, I know adults, I know you love the movie, I know you think your kids will, but kids 5 to 10 don't know what the movie is and don't care. And you know, they get behind the seat and they start breaking. That event, they broke the windshield, the wiper switch, my TFC handle. They pulled out some of the upper console switches and broke the on-off switch. And it's just, you know, they rip it apart. And you know, don't rent us if we're just watching your kids. That's the rule.
We do birthdays. We do a lot of birthdays rentals, but yeah, I mean, it hopefully it doesn't get to the point to where, you know, we have to just completely not let kids in the car. But again, I always come back to, and you see people, and I've personally seen people like climb up on the hood of a DeLorean and want to take a picture. I'm like, would you do that to a Lamborghini or another high class car? I'm like, well, no. Well, then why are you doing it to this? So, you know, it's people who just I don't want to say they're disrespectful. They just don't think. They've never seen one. They want to touch the button. They want to.
I think
they want to have that experience.
You know, they don't see it as they don't see the money that goes into it. They don't see it as a car. They see it as a toy that these are just buttons they can press and yank on. And and I'd say the only other memorable time was, and again, I had told the guy before, it was his son's birthday. I said, you know, I can bring you guys for a ride in the car. That's no problem. You know, because we do that. We do ride-alongs. Because who doesn't want to go for a ride in the time machine? Especially around the block. They could have both, you know, squeezed in the seat like, you know, Jennifer and Marty. But I got there, and the first thing he said to me was, I can't wait to take this baby for a spin. And I said, I'm sorry, no one drives the car. And he goes, why do you think you're here? And I said, clearly I don't know.
Yeah.
I said, you know, I'm sorry, this isn't like Toro or something, you know. This is like a display kind of rental. And he got angry. He went inside and I left. You know, I just want everyone to know, you know, it's not a car driving service. You can't rent it to go out to the movies and out to eat. You know, it's a stationary photo op.
I wish we could, but yeah, it's with so many of these on the road, or I should say limited amount of these on the road, and much less time machines, and how much parts are they're irreplaceable to a certain extent. So that goes into it. We do offer ride along. So if anybody does have somebody that wants to do a ride along, we'll certainly do that. Memorable for me, I think, because I've been to a lot of these events with the cars, I think probably one of them that comes to mind is definitely with Edwin. When we were the official provider of the car for the official Enchantment Under the Sea dance on the actual night that was in the movie with the cast. That was fun. I mean, you know, Edwin and I were there like 10 hours or so. I don't know. It was a long day.
Yeah, it was a long day.
And, but being able to be, you know, just hanging out with, you know, Donald Fullilove, who played Mayor Goldie Wilson, and Harry Waters Jr. It's just fun. I mean, they were over the top, the best, and just hung out, wanted to have fun, chit chat, joke around. That was really fun for me. And then one I can't really discuss a lot because it's coming up, but we may or may not be doing the official Broadway Back to the Future show. We'll discuss that at a future time. No pun intended. So we'll discuss that. But definitely be having some more of these Q&As. I know, Peter, you mentioned Edwin. I think maybe we could even do some how-tos, you know, how some of the electronics in the car work. We can pre-plan and do some videos of the car. Where we can come on here and we can talk, and I can throw up some videos on here while we're doing a live chat, and we can show kind of how, you know, how you guys have your car. People would enjoy that. So that's another video we might be able to do here in the near future. Let's see. We'll kind of wind it down here. I saw a question on here. Where is it? There's a lot of somebody asked where can you buy a time machine? I know somebody actually asked that. Where is that at? So if you want to not to buy a time machine, but if you want to buy a DeLorean, somebody asked that. There's many different ways you can go about buying a DeLorean. Bring a trailer, although I wouldn't advise going on there. They can be a bit pricey on there.
When
You
it,
can
I'm
reach out.
sorry. I'm gonna cut you in on that one. You really need to be careful.
I think so.
I will say for my own experience, and Peter knows that. He knows my whole story. I got scammed on the internet trying to buy my first DeLorean. I lost, I would say, close to $30,000. I put my life savings on it. As soon as I wired the money, I kind of lost it. The FBI got involved. Better Business Bureau got involved. They were really good scammers. You don't have no idea how legit the whole thing looked like, but you need to be
Yeah.
careful. Do your research first. Look at all the red flags before you do, because to me, it was more painful to come and tell my wife I took the money from the savings and I lost it. But I
Yeah.
didn't give up. I didn't give up my dream. That happened on April 2018. On September 2018, that's when I got this one. And
Yeah, I
my,
agree.
yeah,
Do your due diligence. I mean, you can never go wrong with DeLorean.com. Like reaching out to the actual DeLorean, they sell cars. It's still a thing. There's a DeLorean Midwest. Mike and the guys at DeLorean Midwest, second to none. Personally, that's who I would reach out to first.
yes,
But you again, eBay. There's there may not be that many available, but there's plenty of places out there that you can go. But again, do your own due diligence. There's a lot of scams. Stay away from Craigslist. I know there's a lot of scams there. So my advice would be to stay away from there. All right, guys. Well, we're running on 31 minutes here, so we can kind of wind it down, I think, from here. I appreciate you guys coming on. I know I talk to both of you guys usually daily, so
no, anytime.
we'll all talk soon, I'm sure. So yeah, we'll be doing some more of these Q&As. If anybody has any other questions, put them down in the comments section. Well, we'll get to them eventually. Maybe we'll do another video, another Q&A, and we'll have a lot more to talk about as it pertains to that. So I hope everybody has a good day, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Edwin, Peter, have a good day. Thanks for coming on, guys.
You guys are the best. Love you both.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good one. Thank you, guys.